Hey guys, my name is AJ Kidlat and I'm a third year high school student from Paris Southridge Latin Honors class. This video aims to teach you how to listen effectively to Latin, what grammar's places in listening to Latin, and how speaking Latin helps improve your listening skills. So there are two types of Latin pronunciations: classical Latin and church Latin. I'm going to be using the latter one because I'm more familiar with that one. But then I was able to listen to both styles because I had a copy of the Epitome Historia Sacrae, which had the church Latin pronunciation, and Latin News from Helsinki, Poland, which had the restored classical Latin pronunciation. Basically, the differences are, in church Latin, you say v, vivo, vivra, and their c is a ch, not k. It's a ch, like cedo, cedere. So, but then in restored Latin, it's gonna be like vivo. That's the v, vivo. It's a V, it's a W. And for the C sounds, it's going to be a K. It's like ka, cedo, cedere. Okay, so basically that's it. And for the medium of communication, I'm going to be using audio clips. I'm going to be using one from Epitome Historia Sacrae because, as I've said, I'm very familiar with the classical Latin pronunciation. I'm going to be using an audio clip so that we can keep on listening to the examples. To effectively listen to a passage in Latin, you have to keep repeating and repeating and repeating, because from there you'd be able to analyze the passage more. And I don't think you can do that when you're speaking to someone. If you keep asking someone to repeat what he says, he's going to think you're an idiot, right? Like, repeat that again. Can you repeat that again? Just one more time. Oh, just that again. So it's better to use an audio clip because you can just keep repeating that. So here's an example of audio clip.
Narratio prima. Deus creavit caelum et terram intra 6 dies. Primo die fecit lucem. Secundo die.
So you actually have to have a basic knowledge of Latin to actually understand. So, because to like the grammar rules such as the endings, the declensions, the conjugations, like the ost, mus, tis, enti, the endings like that, will help you when you're actually trying to listen to a passage. And you'll be able to get the idea of that passage by listening to these endings. So in the first passage, I was able to hear an ending of a T. So that's from the word creavit. And avit, which I know as, that's a perfect tense. So creavit could have been in the past tense, meaning it's done. I don't need to know the meaning of the word yet, but at least I know that the idea of the sentence is that it's past. So to identify the verb in the sentence would be the most effective, because from there you can deduce what the sentence is trying to say. And also from the passage I was able to hear Deus, which to me I know means God. So from Deus creavit, creavit strangely sounds familiar. So creavit, create, so to create. And since I know it's past tense, I'm able to say that God created. So from there you can build up the sentence. And the rest of the words, just adding to that basic idea of the creation of something by God. So since I wasn't able to get the other words, let's repeat that passage again. So see, repetition is really the key in this.
Narratio prima. Deus creavit caelum et terram intra 6 dies.
So I was able to hear, this time, caelum et terram. Those, since their endings have an M, which denotes an accusative case. So, meaning direct, caelum terram. So something was done to those words. So since I know caelum means sky and terra means earth, so, and then I know that God created something. So the idea of that sentence now becomes to me as God created the sky and the earth. So from there I'm able to build up the sentence. Another thing to effectively listen to Latin is to know where the sentence begins or ends. Because if you don't know where the sentence begins or ends, you'd seem that the thing would just keep running on. Here's an example. I'm gonna say something in Filipino, and it's gonna seem like I'm just ranting and ranting. So, ako ay nagbabasa ng libro, ngunit hindi ko maintindihan ang sinasabi ko dahil hindi ako pamilyar sa sinasabi kong ibang salita. See, basically that really didn't make sense. But then, if you listen to that sentence again and again, you'd hear pauses. So here's the Latin passage, and we're gonna try to listen to the sentence, to the passage again, and listen to the pauses. That would give you an idea if there's a comma or a period. So here we go.
Narratio prima. Deus creavit caelum et terram intra 6 dies. Primo die fecit.
Did you hear that? Between dies and primo, there was a pause. So basically, you got the idea from Deus to dies was a sentence. Then primo die is another sentence. From there, you can analyze and break down the sentence further. So in speaking Latin, it is going to help you, because if you know the words like Deus, it doesn't come out to you as Deus creavit. It's not a long word, Deus creavit. See? So like in English, you can, if someone's trying to listen to us in English, so we'll be saying, I kicked the dog. It won't sound to him as like the whole sentence is a word. Like I kicked the dog, I kicked the dog. It's not the whole sentence. We know that it's I kicked the dog. So from there, if you actually speak Latin well enough and keep on speaking Latin, we'd be able to know where the word begins and word ends. So we'll be able to break up the words, and from there, break up the sentence, and from the breaking up the sentence, break up the whole passage, and from there, we'd be able to understand the whole passage. So when you speak Latin, you get used to stopping, like Deus creavit caelum et terram intra 6 dies. So from there, you know that Deus terram creavit et, or the other words, are words in itself, not a really long word, not like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So from this knowledge, we can try out to translate that first sentence in that passage. It's quite a long one, actually.
Narratio prima. Deus creavit caelum et terram intra 6 dies.
Pause.
Primo die fecit lucem.
So from there, what we heard was Deus creavit caelum et terram intra 6 dies. So we know that God created this earth and the sky. Since on the third repetition, which was that one, we were able to hear intra, which means within, and dies, days. Because from there, the ending of es denotes an ablative case. And since it denotes an ablative case, that means an object of a preposition. So there's a preposition in that sentence, which is intra. With that knowledge of grammar, I'm going to be able to formulate my idea of the sentence, and from there, I'll be able to put them all together and get that translation for that first sentence, which would translate into God created the sky and the earth within 6 days. So we were able to, by repetition and listening to the endings and other grammar clues, and by actually speaking those sentences and the words, we were able to translate the whole first sentence. And from there, just keep doing that process again and again with the help of repetition to understand the whole passage in itself. So listening to Latin effectively really involves a lot of paying attention and, for me, really repetition. But if you can't have the luxury of repetition, you really have to pay attention to like the endings and try to follow where the sentence ends and where the sentence begins, because from there you'd be able to come up with an idea. And oh yeah, one more thing. When you translate, you try to listen to a passage. You just try to get the idea of the passage immediately, not like Deus, God. God. Not like that. What you want is Deus. When you hear Deus, it becomes Deus. God, God, there. The image of God. You don't want to like from Latin, English, image. You want Latin image. Okay? So basically that's another tool if you can't have the luxury of repetition. Well, that's the video. Hope you guys learned something from watching this. Thanks for watching.